Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nix. So South Africans, the likes of you and I, are once again footing a bill for government failure, thanks to the incompetence and lack of accountability from the ANC. And it's just another bailout, and it's just a couple of more billions, poof, gone. This time, the Ithala Bank. We should all be aware of the controversies that have been taking place over numerous years already, but it comes to light now that this state-owned financial institution based in KZN is now getting a bailout from Treasury of 2.2 billion rand, which was not part of the budget. So where does this money come from? See, an OUTA is the one asking the real questions here. Where's the accountability? Why does corruption and mismanagement continue to take place at local and provincial level without consequences? And I mean, I guess it's, when you see your leader do what he does, you feel very emboldened to do it yourself. According to an OUTA investigation going as far back as 2017, these financial troubles aren't new. They didn't appear overnight. It's years of poor governance. Questionable loans, 19 million given to executives as loans, and political interference has led to massive losses. And instead of fixing the problem, more than 5 years of this, the KZN government bailed the bank out with our money. So the total cost is going to be 2.2 billion rand, and that is paid from provincial funds, which then impacts public services, healthcare, which is in a crisis, housing, which is already in a crisis, infrastructure, which is already in a crisis. But don't worry, the maladministration for more than 5 years at one provincial state-owned company, Ithala Bank, will cost all of us 2.2 billion rand, and the KZN people will suffer directly. And no surprise, absolute silence from national leadership. There has been no public explanation from Treasury. Where is this money coming from? And then no accountability report, no resignations, just a new CEO, a new face, because a new face will change the lack of accountability, which is the absolute essence of the issues in South Africa. The website is so outdated. The last annual report they published is 2021. They have more annual reports. They just haven't bothered to update their website. And they have now failed to submit their 2025 financial reports for auditing. For me, none of this is new. I've seen it across all of the departments I've looked into. Financial audit reports are late. A new face apparently means that the problems will solve themselves. And then the script from the people who are supposed to hold these people accountable, we'll investigate, they say. We'll stabilize the entity. I mean, if Cyril's involved, it also includes we'll start a commission, and then nothing changes. More than 5 years later. In fact, the only thing that's changed is the cost to the taxpayer. I want to share one or two important highlights from the OUTA article. And then I'm going to take you through just some of these state-owned companies that sit under just one province, which will then shock you as to how bad all of this is and how entrenched it is at local, provincial, and national government. But the only people who pay the price is you and I. This article came out yesterday. It states, January 2025, 12 months ago, the South African Reserve Bank's Prudential Authority applied for Ithala's liquidation. It has never been a registered bank. It consistently and repeatedly violated the conditions of the exemption notices. Since December 23, 2 years, Ithala's been operating as a bank illegally, which then The only conclusion I can come to is that now the South African taxpayer is bailing out an illegal entity. Am I understanding that correctly? 2.2 billion rand is going to be pumped into a state-owned company that operates illegally. I mean, if that doesn't blow your mind, I just can't help you. I'm speechless. How disgusting is this? The absolute disregard for our hard-earned money. This is not included in the national government's list of contingent liabilities in the budget, nor does the bailout appear to have been included in the medium-term budget policy statement. So where is this money coming from? The National Treasury, following consultations with the KZN provincial government, will make up the 2.2 billion available to enable the repayment of depositors. OUTA asks the real question: why do we not hear of consequence management and accountability for this mess? Not a single mainstream media is asking who got fired, who's being held accountable, who's going to prison. One or two bits from a Daily Investor article. FNB steps in amid state-owned bank collapse. Bank, because it's illegal. They're just processing the funds. So they're basically going to process the 2.2 billion rand to the depositors because the bank is incapable of even processing the money. I guess it's because they're illegal. Denka Capital, Cookie Koyman, a renowned banking sector analyst, said the potential liquidation of Ithala came about after 3 years of mismanagement and a lack of urgency in addressing compliance issues. But do not, as a private institution, forget to submit your BEE form. Hotsnia, why would you do that? No, the government will penalize you hundreds of thousands of rands. But we're going to let the bank, the illegal bank, continue to operate. 3 years of mismanagement. Non-compliant. So let's quickly rewind. Ithala was originally created to serve development in KZN, established in 1958. I mean, the ANC finally brought it to its knees. It was supposed to support entrepreneurs and communities. But over time, as usual, political appointments replaced qualified experience. Incompetence and corruption was chosen over skill, profitability, actual upliftment. Loans were issued to connected individuals and businesses, of which many never repaid. On OUTA's original complaint in 2017, the Auditor General eventually flagged serious issues in 2023. 6 years. It's unfathomable. And you know what? Instead of accountability, the province, the taxpayer, continues to pour billions into it under this umbrella of rescuing and stabilizing. You guys can't even stabilize your own political party. You really need to step back from trying to operate South Africa. And again, we need structural, actionable reform. Because essentially the taxpayer at this point is a financial life support machine for every single failed entity. Funding illegal banks blows my mind. So let me give you a bit of a tangible look at what this means. So for 2.2 billion rand, we could have done 100 new schools, 30 small hospitals, water infrastructure for thousands of rural households. And I mean, we have a huge water infrastructure crisis at the moment. But we're going to bail out the bank, guys. Don't worry about it. This money keeps disappearing into failed institutions which are shielded from political connections. And over again, no accountability. The bigger crisis that isn't being addressed is that this Ithala story isn't isolated. This happens at a national, a provincial, and a local level. For every single story of corruption you and I hear in the mainstream media, there's another 14 happening at a provincial level, because every single province has a whole bunch of state-owned companies who all have a whole bunch of other suppliers and vendors and consultants, failed audit reports, unqualified, employee costs sitting at 60 to 80%. The scary fact is that through an 8-year period, 2008 to 2023, the government have given over 300 billion rand in bailouts, 20 billion rand a year for failed institutions. To reform an institution, think about how long it took us to do Eskom. We do not have time. They have failed. We need reform. The list of atrocities are endless, and each bailout rewards this failure. The only people being punished is us, the taxpayers. And I quickly want to show you what KZN's province looks like when it comes to state-owned companies, one of which is Ithala Bank. This is a government website, provincialgovernment.co.za. It lists all the provinces. I'm on KwaZulu-Natal. Here is our provincial legislator, our office of the premier, departments, every single type of a department you could think of, plus its dog's mom's brother's cousin. And then we have an entire list of public entities. Agribusiness, KZN Wildlife, a MAFA research institution, Economic Regulatory Authority, KZN Growth Fund Agency. That sounds like a black hole of corruption if ever I've heard one. Richards Bay Industrial Development Zone. Oh, there's a couple of dodgy things happening there, by the way. Trade and Investment, KwaZulu-Natal. Sure. Trade and investment in your pocket. So what now? I mean, what are we supposed to do? We can't keep normalizing corruption. And that's just the cost of doing business. That's ridiculous, especially at provincial and local level. That's where oversight from citizens, mainstream media, and some civil society organizations is the weakest. That's where the corruption and the looting really takes place. National government, Treasury, needs to start being more transparent in how our local money is being spent, because that's where the infrastructure holdup is. That's where the lack of accountability can start. And that's where us, the taxpayers, can see and make the biggest difference. If we carry on this trajectory, 2.2 billion for one institution will be 10 billion for one institution next year, because they keep getting away with it. So why wouldn't you just carry on? For every penny I can grab before I get jailed. How disgusting to think that we even have that sort of character, that sort of person living amongst us, that steals like this, leaving the impoverished, and then pointing fingers at apartheid while you walk around with your 5,000 rand shoes. And then the mainstream media peddle your ideology by not educating the masses. So looking beyond Ithala Bank, this is about lack of accountability from our so-called leadership. No way are these leaders. And it's permeated through to every single government institution. So we need to make sure that these are the stories that we remember when it comes to voting day. We need to make sure that these are the stories we share and discuss when we're having debates about politics with people who have opposing opinions with us. This is the data, the facts, and the stats. that we need to be putting forward when people think the ANC are not corrupt. And I want to encourage us, and that is really what I'm trying to do with this channel, is that we need to change the narrative. Government has us in a looped psy-op game where everybody's pointing fingers, defending their culture, their religion, their position on politics. Meanwhile, the economy is burning, unemployment's skyrocketing, and this sort of looting and corruption continues. But the mainstream media is nowhere to be seen. National government, Treasury, nowhere to be seen. Can't be transparent about where this money's coming from. Wasn't even in the national budget. It wasn't even discussed in the midterm budget review. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you found it insightful. Do you agree that we need to change the narrative? Mainstream media is not highlighting the maladministration, corruption, incompetence, and governance failures, I mean, the list could go on, from our government. They grab one or two stories, but really, much of it is divisive. And to think that informal sector, unregulated, untaxed, is an estimated 2.5 trillion rand in revenue every year. Untaxed, unregulated. But don't you be worrying, ANC. I'll foot the bill for Ithala Bank. 2.2 billion. Easy, man. Under my mattress. Send your oak over. I'll have it ready for you in a Woolies bag. Anyway, on that note, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I would appreciate a like, a share, and a comment if you could do me that favor. I appreciate all your support. Join the Nick's Rambles Club for $14.99 a month. Shout out to Nikki and Paul, who are part of the club. But the fact that you watched this video right until the end is also an absolute win for me. Guys, have a fabulous day. Enjoy the rest of your week. And continue to be the most amazing human being you can be. Over and out.